So this time I'd like to turn over to John Flynn for a special announcement.
Well, good evening, everyone. And the first thing that I want to do is I want to thank, obviously, John Kringle and everyone in this committee for not only what you've done for me recently as district attorney, but what you've done for me going back now 16 years, which I'll talk about in a minute. I also, in addition to the thank yous, want to congratulate Carl Zurich, Shannon Patches here, Joe Eminger just got reelected as councilman, supervisor. Marguerite Greco got reelected as town clerk. And so I just can't tell you how proud I am of all of you and what you've done for this town. This room right here, if you think about it, has been a place where a lot of decisions have been made that have been good for the town of Tonawanda. A lot. This room right here. And that's why, quite frankly, I wanted to come to this room tonight to announce my reelection. Listen here. It would have been easy for me to have people downtown go to the convention center or go to Erie County Democratic headquarters or go to some big venue and have balloons and have ribbons and have all that and have me announced for reelection. That would have been easy, but that's not what I wanted to do. We are 2 days away from Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving is a time when we get together in small groups with our family, with our loved ones, and we celebrate what we're thankful for. Well, you all are my political family. I wanted a small venue with my friends, with my family, to announce my reelection. And just so you know, by the way, the signs, the balloons, all that isn't necessary here tonight. Only thing that's necessary here tonight is one symbol, and that's the symbol of that flag right there. That's all I wanted in the background for my announcement here tonight, because that flag right there pretty much represents everything that I believe in and everything that I stand for. That flag up there represents everything that this committee believes in, and the elected officials from town of Tonawanda in this room, what they stand for. They stand for the principles of good government. They stand for the principles of public service. Now, I mentioned when I was at the headquarters downstairs from here on election night, when Marguerite and Joe and Shannon and Carl won, I alluded to, I think, what we're going to see next year. And we are already living in it to a certain extent. We live right now politically in a toxic environment, to say the least. We're going to go through a year next year that is going to be very tumultuous, not only for, I believe, this country, but for the state and for some local elections for perhaps federal government. And I can't control that. I can't control the election and what happens next year. I can't control the vitriol and the toxicity that's going to occur throughout this land. All I can do is worry about my own race. All I can do is conduct myself with what I believe is the professionalism and character that I've displayed not only throughout my naval career, but throughout my political career and the last 3 years as Erie County District Attorney. We have done a lot of things in my office the past 3 years. A lot of things. But I'm going to go back to a couple of the points that I made when I stood here in this very room and across this town and across this county now some 3 years ago. One, I promised to bring back trust to the office, to have trust in the community where the community could look at the district attorney's office, look at law enforcement, and have a level of confidence and a level of trust. And I believe I've built that up over the course of the past 3 years. I promise to take on difficult cases. I promise to not only take on cases that were hard to prove, but cases that were tough to take. We've done both in the past 3 years. We've took on cases where the evidence wasn't that strong, but where I believed in my heart that the person was guilty and the person had committed a crime. And a lot of times, not a lot, but on occasion, juries come back with a not guilty verdict. And that's fine, because that's the way the system works. You shouldn't go into every case thinking and knowing you're going to get a guilty verdict every time. That's not how the system works. The system works on a judicial predicate that everyone is innocent until they're proven guilty. And I have to prove that they're guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And sometimes it's difficult to meet that beyond a reasonable doubt. But you shouldn't fear reaching for that high bar. And I haven't feared that. You should not fear not only taking on difficult case from an evidentiary standpoint, but from a political standpoint as well. Prosecuting a police officer is a very difficult thing to do. It's extremely hard. Because you know why? They're on my team. I'm prosecuting a teammate of mine. Now, unfortunately, I had to do this in the military. In my 20-plus years as a JAG Corps officer, a number of military members that I came across committed crimes, and we had to prosecute them. That's the last thing I wanted to do, was prosecute a fellow military member of mine. But you had to do it, because that was your job. That was the right thing to do. I'm in the same predicament now as a DA. When a member of law enforcement commits a crime, I have a job to do. I can't pick and choose who I want to prosecute. I have to prosecute everybody fairly, and everybody, no matter who they are, no matter what they did. And that's difficult to do, but 3 years ago, I promised I was going to make difficult decisions and do the difficult things. And I think I've shown that over the course of the past 3 years. I also think that I've shown probably the most important characteristic of being a DA. And that is this, that you can be tough on crime on one hand, but on the other hand, give people a second chance, or if they needed a third or fourth chance. You can do both. You can reduce crime at one element, but at the same time, reduce incarceration. You can do both. I've done both. We have a whole new law coming into effect here on January 1st that some of you may or may not really know about. Albany passed sweeping criminal justice reforms back in April. The governor signed it a month later in May. It takes effect on January 1st. Sweeping criminal law changes that affect one element. There's many elements, but the one element that it affects is bail. Okay? So let me tell you how bail is going to work come January 1st and what I've done already that shows that you can reduce crime and reduce incarceration. Come January 1st, anyone who is charged with a misdemeanor or a nonviolent felony is automatically let out now from court. There is no more bail. A judge cannot put bail on anyone come January 1st who's charged with a misdemeanor or a nonviolent felony. Now, there are some narrow exceptions to that rule, but in general, that's the new rule. So I saw this coming about a year and a half ago. I saw it coming. Not only did I see it coming, I also firmly believe that people who have committed low-level misdemeanor offenses, who have committed nonviolent felonies, should not be in jail awaiting trial just because they're poor and they can't afford to get out of jail. That's a wrong, fundamentally wrong system that I personally believe in. So, about a year and a half ago, I told my district attorneys, listen here, if it's a misdemeanor or a nonviolent felony, unless there's a darn good reason, don't ask for bail. Don't even ask for it. Now, the judge can still put it on, but most of the judges do listen to me or listen to my input, my lawyer's input. Don't ask for it. Well, here are the results of that in about a year. Every first of the month, I run the numbers at the holding center. And I find out how many people are in the holding center, not only as sentenced prisoners, but also those awaiting trial, those who are there on bail. And in May of 2018, at the highest point that summer of 2018, there were over 1,000 individuals who were in the holding center on bail awaiting trial. I'm going to run that number again next Monday on December 1st. But on November 1st, 26 days ago, there was 598. It's gone down almost 50% in the past year, the number of people in the holding center. Just because of one simple thing that I did in telling my DAs, don't ask for bail unless there's a good reason. That is a significant reduction in people who are incarcerated. At the same time, I can tell you this, that violent crime in the city of Buffalo, homicides and shootings over the course of the past year have gone down over 30%. In addition to that, the last 5 years average from 2013 to 2018, that 5-year period average right there, shootings and homicides in the city of Buffalo have gone down this year in 2019, 38%. So don't let anyone tell you that you cannot reduce incarceration and you cannot reduce crime at the same time. Do not let anyone tell you that you cannot be tough on crime and give people a second chance. You see me every day on TV, all right? Every day I am putting someone away for a homicide or for a rape. Now, it's not any offense at all to the news outlets here, okay? They cover the violent crimes. That's what the public is interested in. And I have no qualms with that at all. The problem with that is that I have a public perception now that is all I do is put people in jail. And I'm concerned about that. I worry about that each and every day. But every one of these cameramen can tell you, because they see me every day, that I'm giving people a second chance. I'm giving people a third chance, each and every day. Our opioid court here in Buffalo that we started in May of 2017 is the first one in the country. The first opioid court in the country was started here in Buffalo, New York in May of 2017. In May of 2017, in our normal drug court that we have downtown and across this county, normal drug court meaning that once people plead guilty or are found guilty of a crime, they then go into drug court. It's a sentencing court. It's after someone pleads guilty or is found guilty. In our normal drug court, back in 2017, at the height of the opioid epidemic, we were seeing, on average, 5 or 6 overdose deaths a month. 5 or 6 people in Erie County, on average, in early 2017 and 2016, who were in our drug courts, 5 to 6 a month, were dying of an overdose. So we decided to do something outside the box. I'll never forget Joe Eminger coming up to the podium there at a town board meeting in December of 2005 and telling me and the town board, you got to think outside the box about something with the Brighton Library. I'll never forget that. You got to think outside the box sometimes. So what we did was we reversed the paradigm. We turned it upside down. What we do now in opioid court is that when the person gets arrested, the day one of arraignment, we get them treatment. We get them into an inpatient facility. We get them into counseling. We get them help on day one. We don't wait 6 months for the case to get done, because 6 months later, they could be dead. We help them on day one. Let me tell you something. When we started this program in May of 2017, we did not have our first death until December. We went 8 months without one overdose death, and we were losing 5 to 6 a month before that. Since then, it's been up now for 2.5 years, since May of 2017, and it's been duplicated across the country now in the past 2.5 years. We've had 5 deaths in 2.5 years. 5. When we were having 5 a month. It's working. It's literally saving lives. So don't let, like I said, don't let anyone fool you. You can help people in this business. You can give them a second chance. But at the same time, those who commit murder, and those who rape someone, and those who sexually assault a child, I can't give them a second chance. They got to go to jail. That is my bipolar role that I play each and every day. But I think I do it pretty well. And I think I deserve 4 more years. And I think that I have more to do. We can continue what we've done so far. We can continue on the path that we're in helping this community out.